Welcome everyone to the Armageddon battle between Divya Deshmukh and the reigning women's world champion Ju Wenjun. The classical game ended in a draw. Divya was under big pressure but she managed to hold it. And now in the Armageddon, Ju Wenjun has 10 minutes on the clock. She is in a must win. Divya has 3 minutes less than her opponent, but a draw will suffice. The players are ready and we are ready to rock and roll here. Will be very exciting to see if Divya manages to get the better of the world champion, who will face Vaishali later this year for the women's world championship match. b3 played, bishop g4, attacking the knight, pawn to e3, defending it, knight comes to d7, and bishop b2, taking control of the e5 square. Divya keeping her c-pawn free to move ahead one square. She goes pawn to e6, opening up her bishop. This bishop is also opened up. White plays bishop to e2, breaking the pin. It's kind of difficult to play against a very strong player like Ju Wenjun. You know, these Armageddon struggles, 3 minutes less, not at all easy. Knight to d2 played. And white is going for this very interesting hedgehog-like structure. She will play c4 later and get a very nice Sicilian setup. And I think it's a fighting weapon here. Also, at some point you could convert it into this e4 territory with pawn to e4. But Ju Wenjun has to make that decision whether to go e4, to go c4, or to maybe even go h3, g4 on the king side. Many options she has. Okay, she starts to think a bit and she does look a bit nervous. You know, it's the first Armageddon game. Pawn to h3, attacking the bishop. And Divya can go bishop h5. She goes bishop f5, taking control of the e4 square. And now the most logical move is to simply castle here. And she castles. Divya castles as well. And pawn to c4 played. Hitting the center. Pawn comes up to c6, bolstering it. And Ju Wenjun now takes serious time and plays queen c2. Divya puts her bishop back on h7. She's speeding here. She's used only 48 seconds while Ju Wenjun has already used more than 2 minutes on her clock. Pawn to e4 played. Okay, very interesting now. The pawn is defended here on e4, but it's also under the attack of the bishop here. Takes with the knight. But I think Divya can take back. Pawn takes. And the question is this helpful to black in any way? The pin here. Okay, Divya is thinking, I think knight e4, de. She's considering if she can take advantage in any way and she doesn't see it. So she goes bishop to e7. The rook comes to d1, a5 played in order to push the pawn to a4. And Ju Wenjun brings her rook on the semi-open file. Queen comes out to c7. Very solid play by Divya. And Ju Wenjun now can take on f6. She plays pawn to a3. Well, maybe just taking into control the b4 square. Take on e4, pawn takes e4 and bishop f6. Divya quickly plays it. There were other ways to play that position. For example, knight c5 looked tempting to put more pressure here, and after bishop f1, you could think of e5 knight swiveling later. But anyway, bishop f6 takes, knight takes, and now she goes bishop to d3. Her idea is to push e5, rook comes to d8. Will she push e5? Or there's another opportunity to go c5, clamping that down, and then knight d2 to c4 to d6 and b6. That's a little long plan, but could be possible. Black has less space here, e5 pushed. Of course, you can't move the knight, bishop h7 is hanging, so you must take on d3. But for Divya, is it bishop d3 or is it rook d3? Because even rook d3 seems like a nice move. Rook takes d3 and now knight d7 with the idea of knight c5. That should equalize as well. Both moves are possible. And Divya takes, rook takes, and rook takes, queen takes. The rook comes to d8, attacking the queen on d3. Queen goes to c3, putting pressure on a5 on this diagonal, knight d7. The main plan is to put the knight on c5, rook d3. White has more space, but it's not like there are too many pieces on the board. So black does look comfortable. c5 played, taking away the c5 square from the knight. Not sure if this knight has anything to do on d7. Maybe knight f8, knight g6 makes some sense. And then from there you could go to f5 and d5. The rook on the open file would also stand well. So knight f8 played. Good move by Divya Deshmukh. She has 4 minutes on the clock. Opponent has 5 minutes, 30 seconds. The position is equal. Divya has narrowed down the time gap. Knight d2. Maybe not the best move here by Ju Wenjun, but I can understand the emotion. She wants to go and capture the d6 square for her knight. But the best move here is rook d5, which is a very strong move. You keep an eye on e5, you keep an eye on c5. She finds it. And b4 takes, queen to d7 or queen d8. Just doubling down on the d file. Queen d8, a good move. And now Ju Wenjun can go knight e4 or knight c4, but Divya would come in. And the thing is, knight on d6 would only be strong if one of the pieces of black remains behind it, like the queen or the rook. But if you go get rook d3 and then you get queen d4 in, that means all your pieces are already very active. Divya has 3 minutes 39 seconds. Ju Wenjun down to 4 minutes 40 seconds. She's just not sure whether to play knight e4 or knight c4. She goes knight to e4 and Divya, boom, rook d3. A good move. I think Divya's play has been incredibly stable here. That's really nice to see. Queen goes back to c2 and now queen to d4 would be very strong. Very strong move. Finds it. Queen to d4 and well, knight d6. I would love to put my knight there on the d6 square, but the problem is rook d2 attacks f2 square, so you can't easily move it away. Also remember, b4 is hanging because the even rook will get attacked. e5 also under pressure. Divya has played this very well. And now Ju Wenjun under big time trouble because she is almost equalizing her time to Divya. And she's in a must win. She has a bad position. She doesn't look excited at all. Queen e2. And here, can we already think about taking this? Because queen d3, we have queen e1. It looks good actually. It looks quite good to win that pawn. But also another strong move is knight g6 with the idea of knight to f4. Finds it. Wow. Divya, beautiful chess. And for white now, knight to d6. Plays it. This time now taking this would be really cool. Queen takes, check, king h2, and then queen takes e5, followed by c5 pawn falling. It's game over actually. So queen takes b4 would be very, very good move. And now Divya, in the driver's seat, has to decide. She goes knight f4. Maybe not the best move, but a good move considering the Armageddon situation. Because, okay, firstly, queen e4 seems like the best move here. But after queen takes e4, rook e4, I think black is very solid. Knight d5. Ah, you're losing b7. So maybe queen e4 does have some venom. Queen g4 would be a mistake because it runs into h5, which is a very powerful move. Okay, Ju Wenjun now has 2 minutes 55 seconds. Divya has 2 minutes 26. It's interesting that Ju Wenjun has kept that small time lead. It's quickly running down. She goes queen g4 and it's a mistake, but maybe it's something that she's thought of. h5. Now if queen g5, you have rook d1, a beautiful move. Takes, and this is a mating pattern which all of you should remember. Knight e2, checking here, taking away the escape route, and it's winning the game. So h5 actually is freeing up the d1 square for the rook to come in, and that is the strong point. And h5, you know, queen h4, there is knight e2 check, winning the queen. She doesn't find h5, she goes knight d5. It's a small luxury that Divya has here with the black pieces that she can play for a draw. And now if queen d4, rook d4, and if you take on b7, I'll take on b4, and the position is equal. So Ju Wenjun must create winning chances. She knows that queen trade is not a good move. She goes queen h5, attacking f7. One move is queen f4 now, defending f7. Although you have to be careful here, rook e4 suddenly, queen c1 check, king h2. And then maybe it's a bit of trouble there. So g6 would make some sense, but you do drop the h6 pawn. And then rook e4, rook h4 could become dangerous. Divya is down to 1 minute 13 seconds. Remember, there's no increment till move 40. And after that also just 1 second. Ju Wenjun sensing her chance. 33 moves made. She goes g6. And now queen takes h6. Take the pawn. Takes it. Rook d1 found by Divya. A good move. Trading the rooks. Because once the rooks are gone, the chances of holding this increase. Take, queen takes, king h2, and now you need to attack both the pawns again. Queen e5 and queen b4. Good move. Queen d4. Queen comes to g5, and now Divya can snatch the pawn on f2, but she can also take on b4. She takes on b4, attacking c5. I'm a bit worried about the knight and queen combo, but the black knight on d5 is also doing a great job defending the f6 square. Divya down to 51 seconds. Ju Wenjun has 1 minute 30 seconds. The game can go anywhere, and look at Ju Wenjun leaning in, trying to find some tactical ideas, but h4, h5 seems like a good idea as well. Just push the pawn down the board and hope for the best. She's using up all her time. She's down to 1 minute 10 seconds. I guess for Ju Wenjun, the question is check. Then knight e8. Can she find some mating attack? She goes g3. I like this move a lot. Taking away the f4 square. Ready to give up the c5 pawn, which Divya can take and attack the f2 pawn. But Divya is taking too much time for every move. She's down to 35 seconds. She takes on c5, king g2. Beautiful chess by Ju Wenjun, showing why she's the world champion. h4, h5 on cards. And Divya needs to tread very carefully. Maybe queen b6, queen c7, queen e7 is the defensive idea. She finds it, but with 18 seconds only. We are on move 39. So 1 second will start kicking in from the next move onwards. And look at Divya. She says, how many moves? Arbiter says, look on the screen. She's like, okay, fine. H4. Oh my god. Down to 10 seconds now. Queen to C7 played. H5. Queen E7. Good move by Divya. And you can see her time is at 11, 10, 9, 8. Ooh. King G7. Knight to E4. Ju Wenjun playing this really well. She also has 40 seconds more on the clock. Divya down to 3 seconds. How long can you survive with 3 seconds with a 1 second increment? E5 is under pressure. I think she takes Queen E5. Oh, takes, king takes. She's a pawn up and her king is safe. This is good calculation. Knight F3 puts her queen on F6. Divya still on 3 seconds. Queen goes to C4. Queen F5. How can you find such moves? That's amazing. B5 played, check. King moves to F7 and a blunder. Knight F4 found and Ju Wenjun resigns. Divya had 3 seconds. Look at that. She is relieved there and insane finish. Knight F4 missed, a discovered check, and Ju Wenjun, well, she could have won the game if she would have kept her nerves because she had 26 seconds. While Divya was down to her last 3 seconds, she kept better nerves and scores her first win in Norway Chess. It's her debut. She's one of the youngest players taking part here and she manages to beat Ju Wenjun, and that's a great result for Divya Deshmukh. Of course, the classical game ended in a draw, so she would get 1.5 points, but it's something to be extremely proud of. We'll leave you with the moments outside in the playing venue when Divya went out after the game.
Can we go first to studio then? Thank you. One thing's for sure, the people at the front row did wake up during this.
Yeah, I actually noticed because then I looked and both of them were gone. So I think they just got bored and left.
Congratulations. How did you feel about your playing today?
I'm not very happy with the classical part of the game, but okay, then in this time chaos it gets very messy, so it was fine. I think the Armageddon was fine though.
And you've just beaten the world champions. I think you'll be a little happy. Congratulations.
Mama.
Can I please sign? Thank you so much. Can we do the rest after the studio, please?
Can you please sign? You're very good at playing. Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much.